Why does it feel impossible to walk away from someone even when you know they're not good for you? Why do some relationships feel like an addiction where the highs are euphoric, but the lows are devastating? If you've ever felt trapped in a cycle of toxic love, constantly drawn to the wrong people, or having trouble letting go of someone who hurts you, you're not alone. What you might be experiencing is either a love addiction or a trauma bond. And today I'm going to break down exactly what that means, how to recognize the signs, and most importantly, how to start healing. What is a trauma bond? A trauma bond is a deep emotional attachment to someone who behaves in ways that are unhealthy or even abusive toward you. It's built through a cycle of extreme highs and lows, where there's affection followed by pain, followed by more affection to keep you hooked. Your brain literally becomes wired for their approval because of a psychological response called intermittent reinforcement, which is the same mechanism that makes gambling so addictive. We've all heard the story of the gambler who has sat at the tables all night and they finally hit the jackpot. They finally win. It might have took them about $10,000 to $15,000 to get there, but they get there. And they hit the jackpot, and then what happens? They keep playing and they end up losing because they are chasing that high again. They're chasing that win again. They're chasing that feeling of success again. They want to double down. They say, if I did it once, I could do it again. And what ends up happening is they end up losing even more than they won. That, friends, is intermittent reinforcement. So what are some signs that you may be in a trauma bond? If you feel addicted to the person, even when they hurt you, you justify or minimize their behavior, you crave their validation, even at the cost of your self-worth, and leaving feels unbearable, like withdrawal from a drug. I experienced absolutely every one of those things in an extremely toxic and trauma bond relationship with the father of my child. I was battling several childhood wounds that made me stay with him once we found out I was pregnant, even though it became abundantly clear early on that the connection did not support my wellness. Then after the death of my child, I struggled immensely with grief, and that made it even harder to free myself. It took several rounds of breaking up, making up, breaking up, making up, before I finally hit my point of being sick and tired. While that was absolutely the most challenging experience I've ever gone through, that relationship taught me more about myself and my journey in the world than any of the others combined. So I'm grateful for it. Here's some things that I learned about what a love addiction is versus what healthy love looks like. Love addiction, first of all, isn't about love at all. It's about chasing the feeling of being wanted, of being needed or chosen. Many of us confuse intensity with love. We confuse the 3-letter S word with love, neither of which are love. Based on that alone, many of us, if we're honest, can say that we've probably never even been in love, never really experienced love, because true love is certainly not about chaos or desperation. Love addiction literally feels like an obsession. You feel constantly anxious, you feel constantly uneasy about things, and there's even some emotional withdrawal that happens within that connection. And that may look like sending them multiple messages or calling them back to back to back to back when they're not at the house. You want to know where they are, what they're doing, when they're coming back, or even before they leave. When you know that they're getting ready to leave, you throw a fit. That's not love. That is addiction. Healthy love, on the other hand, feels secure, it feels steady, and it allows and celebrates independence. You know that y'all are on the same vibe, and y'all have already had the conversations and done the work of getting to know each other a little bit before jumping into stuff, so that you know that you are aligned on the things that matter the most. So you don't have to be under them 24 hours a day to see what they're doing, who they're doing it with, and who they're talking to, and all of that sort of thing. You know y'all good. Love addiction is often rooted in childhood wounds where you find yourself seeking validation and often putting that unhealthy expectation on your partner. You're looking to them to validate you. You're looking to them to pour into your self-esteem and to give you your self-worth. Self-esteem, self-worth, self-adoration all begin with self. It all begins with you. Healthy love comes from a place of wholeness, not emptiness. If you've ever felt like you need someone to feel okay, that's a clear sign that that's not love. It's attachment. Here's how you can start to heal from love addiction or trauma bonds. Let's be clear, it isn't just about willpower. You're literally having to rewire your brain and begin healing your self-worth and learning to meet your own emotional needs. Step 1 is about recognizing the pattern. The first step is always going to be awareness, because self-awareness is your superpower. Ask yourself and be honest. Am I confusing intensity or SCX with love? Am I craving validation over genuine connection? Step 2, go no contact or set boundaries. Detaching from an unhealthy bond is breaking an addiction. Going no contact, or at least, very least, reducing exposure is critical. Of course, if you share children with this person, you might not be able to just go no contact, but very strong boundaries are going to be crucial in those instances. Step 3, reparent yourself. Most love addictions come from unmet emotional needs in childhood. So start by loving on yourself and giving yourself the reassurance that you've been seeking externally. One huge mistake that I find we make is we jump from relationship to relationship to relationship, looking for someone to complete us, when really we should be whole and complete before entering into a connection. That way it can be interdependent instead of you depending on them for all of your value. So do not jump from relationship to relationship. Stop. Spend some time with yourself. Spend some time loving on yourself. Spend some time addressing those shadows, the dark parts of your experience that lead you to continue to choose the same sort of partner, to continue to have the same sort of experience with a different player. You're going through the same thing over and over and over. Every relationship you get in, every job you go to work for, every friendship you get into with somebody, you find that you're having the same sorts of issues with each and every person. Well, everywhere you go, you take yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are. So if the common denominator is you, it means you need to be doing some work. Once you begin to do that deep, transformative inner work, you're going to notice that certain things are not even in your realm of awareness anymore. It's like where you no longer resonate, you no longer, find yourself. You might be like, for instance, if in your, late teens and 20s, like me, you used to be up in the club, turn it up. At some point you realize the club life is just like, I could be at the house and have myself a drink and turn on some music and not have to worry about smoke if I'm not interested in that, or not have to worry about being hit on by people I'm not interested in being hit on by. Like, it no longer resonates. And so because it no longer resonates, you don't find yourself going to those places anymore, or doing those things, or having those thoughts, or hanging out with those sorts of people, or attracting those sorts of situations. I hope you understand what I mean. Try some self-soothing practices like journaling and inner child meditations. I think I have one listed here. Step 4, seek support. Healing doesn't have to be done alone. Go to therapy or join a support group like the Lightkeeper Circle, or even just begin with the self-help practices like journaling or doing the meditations. It's going to really be instrumental in your journey of healing. You have to begin putting in the work somewhere, taking small steps somewhere. And as they say, when the student is ready, the teachers appear. In other words, when you start to peel back the layers, you will find more information coming your way. You will find more people aligned with the goals that you have set for yourself, that sort of thing. I'd love to offer support to you during your journey. There's a link in the description to join my closed community if you're interested in that. If you've recognized yourself in this video in any way, I want you to know this is not your fault, and no, you're not broken. Trauma bonds and love addiction are really deeply rooted patterns, but they can be healed. And healing starts with self-awareness, self-compassion, and taking those small steps to reclaim your power. If this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments, what is one realization you've had about your past relationships? I'll go first. I've learned that many of us are just children in adults' bodies, meaning the younger unhealed version of us is acting out in our adult lives. And until we address that, specifically until I addressed the inner wounds that were being shown to me, and instead of running from them, actually addressed them and actually did some work to heal them, I would continue to attract the same sorts of things that I said I didn't want to experience, because parts of me were yearning for things that those individuals could teach me. So healing and doing the work was not optional. Okay, friends, don't forget to subscribe for more content on healing, self-worth, and your journey of self-discovery. If you haven't already, be sure to check out our podcast, Eagles View Radio Special, where we assess life's most challenging experiences from a higher perspective. New uploads Tuesdays and Fridays. Until next time, take care.